Hey everyone, so recently a new game has come out called Tower of Fantasy. You may or may have not heard of it, but recently it's been getting a lot of light on it and a lot of attention because of a lot of streamers getting sponsored and whatnot, right? But I looked into it. It looked all right from what I saw. I saw like 1 second of gameplay and like some of the graphics and shit like that. Um, I thought it looked ass. I thought it looked ass. Honestly, I thought it looked absolutely garbage. I thought it was just some other gotcha mobile game, right? Which it is. It is, but there's more to it. But there's a couple things I want to talk about the game. I was gonna make a full on like a game review where I play the game and I'll talk about it. But I played the game, and then after like an hour of like recording the like gameplay and stuff like that, I ended the recording, and then after that video I ended up playing the game even more. And I just at that point I kind of just forgot about the video. So I'm just gonna make a video of me talking about it, and then that's it. I'll put gameplay and whatnot, but it's not like I'm not gonna be talking. I'm just gonna put it as like background stuff, right? But first things first. I wanna talk about is the game itself. If you guys don't know, the game is by I actually don't know who made Tower Fantasy. Hold on, but it's made by the company called Perfect World. That sounds kind of like an ass company name, but it's okay. Jesus. Okay, sorry. My first glance at the game, you can already tell that it's kind of like I wouldn't say a Genshin ripoff or a Genshin like killer, or it's trying to be Genshin's like predecessor. But a lot of people have been saying that. A lot of people have been saying, "Oh, this might be the next big, you know, anime RPG game, or it might be the killer of Genshin Impact." And before I talk about like the gameplay and mechanics and whatever, it is not. It is not the killer of Genshin Impact, and people who say that is their maybe their game taste, or maybe their RPG taste is some other world shit. But I can say for sure that the game is not the killer of Genshin Impact. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is the combat system in the game. Combat system in the game was really good. I actually really like the combat system because it's not it's not like how in Genshin Impact, your attacks are just one animation or one like 5 frame or not five, not that stupid, but it's like no, it's not like one animation, right, where it keeps repeating and repeating, right? In Tower of Fantasy, it's the same thing. Yeah, they have same animations, but it's a little bit more different because in Tower Fantasy, it's based off of weapons, right? And Genshin Impact is based off characters, right? If you guys don't know, in Genshin Impact, you collect characters, which characters have different abilities, animations, weapons, talents, everything like that. But in Tower Fantasy, it's also the same way, but they focus more on the weapon side, right? So for Genshin, if you want to upgrade and progress through the game and make your stats and make your account stronger, you would usually, or not usually, you would level up your characters, your weapons, and their talents. But for Tower Fantasy, you're only leveling up your weapon, and you're putting things into that weapon to make that weapon stronger to then make yourself stronger, right? So it's a bit different, but but in the same like aspect of it, it's literally the same thing, right? Like how the artifact system in Genshin Impact, where you could put artifacts onto your characters, which makes them stronger. In Tower Fantasy, it's the same thing, but you put it on weapons, not characters, right? But yeah, the combat system. The combat system I would say is better. I would definitely say is better than Genshin Impact, because although it is similar, where like there you would have one ability for each like weapon, right? And stuff like that, right? But the one thing I really liked about it, and not much people, really took an eye to this, but I really like, was that you can attack in midair. And I know that sounds dumb. It's like, wait, why should that be your main reason of liking it? It just is, because not much RPG games have that, you know. I mean JRPGs. I mean, or maybe I don't know. Maybe you just I haven't played much RPG games, but the only games I really, I mean, I don't have a big history on RPG games, but I love playing RPG games. But with the combat system, like Genshin, playing Tower Fantasy is a big upgrade, because in Genshin Impact, you start to get bored, and you also start to kind of find the attack moves predictable, and at some point it's going to be the same attack moves over again. And obviously when you play a game for long enough, you'll know everything. You'll know that the attack animations are going to be the same, because we've seen it a bunch of times. But for Genshin Impact, you're gonna see that, or you're gonna have that feeling really fast, because there's because for every weapon in Genshin Impact, like the bow, claymore, and wait, actually no, it's character dependent. Never mind. I was gonna say that each weapon in Genshin Impact has the same attack animation, but no, actually it's different for each character, which I totally forgot, but I just remembered, if that's a word. But actually, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm not trying to defend nor go against Tower Fantasy, but there's just a lot of things that Tower Fantasy has. Not a lot of things, but there's stuff that Tower Fantasy has that Genshin doesn't, right? But yeah, like I said, the combat system in Tower Fantasy is really good, because I don't know, like, although it is the same, it is very similar. Like, don't get me wrong, the combat system in Tower Fantasy in comparison to Genshin Impact is very similar, but obviously when you play a new game, because I've been playing Genshin for a very long time, so when you play a new game with a new combat system, you find more fun to it in a way. But I don't know, I feel like if I play Tower Fantasy even more, and I start to play it as much as I play Genshin, I'm probably gonna feel the same way. So don't take my opinion right now to heart, and also don't take any of my other opinions to heart as well, because this is just my opinion. Don't be like, oh, don't let my opinions change how you see the game. If you think the game's awesome, then cool, but yeah, the combat system, it's good. The Tower of Fantasy's combat system is really good. I like it, I enjoy it, I actually have fun a lot with it. Another thing is the overall, like, general system, in a way, like moving, looking, the graphics, the different types of, like, things you can do in the game, like the content and stuff. My thoughts on it is that it's not too bad. It is very similar to Genshin, of course. I will say this though, Tower Fantasy is definitely like Genshin, obviously. But I'm not saying it's like a complete total copy to the point where I'm like hating on it. But it is. It is kind of a copy once you start to explore everything in Tower Fantasy. Like the jetpacks, the climbing, the gacha pulling. Well, I mean, the gacha pulling is in every JRPG or anime RPG game, so you can't really blame that. But and some of the I'm gonna go back to the combat system real quick. But one of the bow and arrow moves, or bow and arrow bow. Why am I saying bone? Bow and arrow moves. One of the bow and arrow abilities is literally Amber's elemental burst, which is, when I saw it for the first time, I was like, that looks very familiar from a game I used to play, or not used to play, but I play, right? But other than that, yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah. Anyways, moving on to the next topic. Yeah, the overall, like, system and the graphics or whatever is not that bad. The movement is a bit janky, I do admit. The movement, like just pressing WASD and whatnot and whatever, is a bit, like, it's a bit funky. It really is, because The thing about Tower Fantasy is that it has a stamina bar and like a stamina system, but it's only used for specific attacks and dodging. Or no, I don't know, because dodging in Tower Fantasy has its own separate bar too. Like in Genshin, if you were to dodge or sprint, because when you start sprinting in Genshin, your character does like a leap thingy, or he leaps forward and starts sprinting, which also is also like a dodge thing because it has like a frame, as it has a single frame where you could basically be invulnerable, right? Yeah, in Tower Fantasy, it has a stamina system and a separate dodge system, which I think was pretty odd. Um, but I didn't mind it because I was like, they gotta keep it unique somehow instead of just having your basic stamina system, not stamina. But yeah, um, the movement is janky. There are some bugs with the movement too. Is when you're climbing, and you jump, like you do a little boost jump while you're climbing. It would sometimes bug and your character would glitch out and they wouldn't even go up. They would just stand it or they would just climb in pace. I don't know. That's a common bug, but I've been getting that a lot. Like every time I'm climbing up a fucking mountain, and I try, jumping up to, you know, climb the fucking mountain, it would just bug, and I would end up losing my stamina, and I'd be like, bro, what the hell? Um, but yeah, it's not a major bug, but it's something that should be fixed. Matter of fact, something that should have been fixed since the game released. But also for those who don't know, the game came out like August 11th, I think. So that was like 5 days ago, or not. Well, not when this video comes out, but as I'm talking right now, which is August 16th, the game should have came out like 5 days ago. But yeah, the graphics, the game looks beautiful. It looks like your average JRPG, your basic anime graphics, which isn't bad, but it's not the greatest, stuff you'd see in an RPG. But then again, it is an RPG game, so having your game have really good graphics and having really good, like, amazing RTX graphics on the RPG game wouldn't sit well with other people, because then again, most people who play RPGs are looking for like the main game, like the grinding part, the combat, whatever, not for the graphics, Although some people would look for the graphics, but if you're playing an RPG game that has great graphics, it's not gonna run well, because then again, it's an RPG game. It's gonna be massive. The game is gonna be huge. So like having every single thing in the game have amazing textures and whatnot is gonna make like your PC fucking explode. The graphics isn't that bad. It's definitely something I don't mind. What else? The music and the OST in the game isn't necessarily good, but it's one of those soundtracks where the more you listen to it, the more iconic and more recognizable it'll get to someone, right? Because I've been playing. Because so far I have about, like, if I had to take a good guess, I have about, I would say, 9 to 10 hours on the game so far. 10, 11 hours. I mean, I enjoy the game. I really do enjoy the game, and if the game does fix some things of it, and if the game doesn't eventually die out, I will start playing Tower Fantasy as much as I play Genshin Impact, which I play Genshin Impact every single day, but not to like 5 hours a day type thing. I'll play like an hour a day and then that's it, because right now Genshin Impact is kind of like on a content stall, because they're working on the next update. So right now there isn't much content in the game. But yeah, what else about Tower Fantasy? There was a lot of extra things in Tower Fantasy that makes, I'm pretty sure, the game better. One of the things is that they have vehicles. They have things that help you fucking get around in the game, which is awesome, and which I absolutely love, because in an RPG game, the whole point of an RPG game is to explore the game and it's a role-playing game. It's a MMORPG, massive multiplayer game. So one of the main points of RPG games is to explore, you know, find out different things, find out different lore about different, people, whatever, right? But when I played Genshin for the first time, one of the many things I fucking hated about Genshin was exploring. And not just cuz like exploring was horrible, it was just boring. It was boring and it was so time consuming. Like if I wanted like cuz sometimes okay, for example, I would sometimes get like a commission in Genshin where like you have to cook like this food for this girl, right, as a commission, right? Sometimes I wouldn't have the ingredient nor the food itself. I wouldn't have the ingredients for the food to even make it. So I would literally have to fast travel and I have to walk like 5 miles just to get some fucking radish or something, just to then cook the food, right? But that's that's not really the main problem, but I really hate like walking and running in RPG games. It's just such a time consuming thing, you know, which is dumb. I know, some people might like get mad and say like, well, that's the whole point, The whole point is for you to be exploring and moving and whatnot, But to me, I kind of hate like that exploring. I kind of hate exploring because it's like it's kind of a waste of time, right? I mean, if it's like if they give out like a good reward or something, and if it's like rewarding and like I didn't like really waste my time, then yeah, I would do it. It's like, oh, cool, right? Or if it's like, for example, like if it's a story that I'm actually really interested about, oh, then yeah, I'll explore. I'll do this. I'll do that, right? For example, like in Nier Automata, I love that game. I love Nier Automata, right? And in Nier Automata, I actually explored the game. I actually, ran around, did stuff, right? And I actually enjoyed it because it's not just you walking around trying to look for something, right? In Nier Automata, when you're exploring, there's also enemies coming at you and shit, and you're like, oh shit, right? And there's also like a bunch of lore shit in Nier Automata that will get you thinking like, wait, what the hell? What is this? What is that, right? But in games like Genshin Impact and Tower of Fantasy, it's boring because it's just a grass field and you just walking around, right? But like the whole point of what I'm talking about right now is the vehicles part. Vehicles really helped that. Really helped me not get fucking bored, right? And there's multiple vehicles in the game too, which is awesome. And you could ride you could ride a motorcycle, you could ride a cube, you could literally ride like a Rubik's type looking cube. It's cool. I love it to death so much. And it's so hilarious seeing other people just like hover around it, and it's like, dude, this is the dumbest stuff ever, right? But yeah, that's the one thing I really like about Tower Fantasy is that they have vehicles and shit, and like when and that like fast travel is not really the only option. No, I like that. I really like that about Tower Fantasy. Another thing that I actually hate about the game is the dialogue. The dialogue, the NPCs, and the overall story actually of the game. If you played the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, the game's dialogue, the game's voice acting, the game's NPCs, the game's story is just so bad. Like, it's horrible. Like, the voice acting is so bad too. Like if you play the game, you know that like sometimes when you're talking with an NPC or when a cutscene is playing, I'm not even kidding. Sometimes, or not sometimes, usually the voice actor would just cut out at the end. Like they'll be saying like, oh, this is where we were born, and then they'll just cut out, and you're like, hello, what happened to the voice actor, right? It would just cut out completely, and I hated it because it ruined like my immersion. I was like, because I was actually trying to get into the story and be like, oh, what's this about? And it would just cut. The voice acting would just cut, and I'm like, hello, did my audio cut out? And I'll be checking. I'm like, wait, no, that's the game, right? So that's definitely a minus on that. The NPCs, not the enemy NPCs. The enemy NPCs are actually really good. I mean, like they aren't like too weak. They aren't too hard. The enemy NPCs in Tower of Fantasy is actually really like well thought out. Not really well thought out. I meant like it's not like your average RPG. Like in Genshin, once you max out everything and once you get good stuff in Genshin, enemies start to seem really easy, you know. But in Tower Fantasy, enemies they have like a lot of health. So I'm not even kidding. It'll actually take some time to beat some enemies and whatnot. But yeah, the NPCs. Uh, Another thing too is that the like body language. You know, like when they're talking and they're moving their arms and stuff, it's so bad. It's like it looks so janky. It looks so weird. Like it doesn't even look like when you're talking, you're using hand motions. Like I'm literally using hand motions right now to talk, right? But when they're talking, they're using hand motions, but it's like weird and floppy. It's like you can't really tell what they're talking about, you know? But yeah, that's another minus, which isn't. I don't really. I didn't mind it at first, or at first I didn't mind it a lot, but then the more I played the game, I didn't care for it because at that point I kept skipping the dialogue because I didn't really care for the story. And that's another thing. The story is confusing. I don't really know the main gist of the story because at first you're put into this cutscene where you see this girl talking with this guy about some shit, and I totally forgot. But then afterwards, you see these two siblings running away from this like dog, and then you get to choose between the brother or the sister. Sounds familiar? Yeah, Genshin Impact. So obviously, with me, I chose the sister, right? But it's not like in Genshin Impact. Right after you choose the sister and whatnot, your main objective, you already know what the main objective is in Genshin Impact and the main story. The main story is to basically find your brother. But in Tower Fantasy, they don't say anything about that. They just you choose the sister, and that's it. You're thrown into this world and whatnot. You get introduced to the new characters. But I think the more you play it, I think you'll more understand. But what I think what the story is, I think the story is about spoilers by the way. This I think it's about this because when you first play the game, or when you're first put into the like what the world of the game, you get greeted by this girl who helps you, who's basically your guide in the game, who helps you out and whatnot. And then she ends up becoming like possessed, or she ends up becoming really sick, right? And then she gets like really sick to the point where she can kill people. So throughout the story, her brother Zeke tries to help her by going into this portal and whatnot. And I think the story of the game is you trying to save her, um, which is plain as fuck, but it's okay. Genshin Impact story is also plain as fuck. So, but yeah, that's that's that part. That's the story. Uh, this video is going out too long, so I'm just gonna end it here. If you listened, thank you. If you didn't, well, you did, because why would you be hearing this? But that's all for today. I've been wanting to make this video actually for a while. By the time this video comes out, it'll probably be like August, like it'll probably be next week, because I don't know, because I also made another video about Tower Fantasy, but like I said at the beginning of the video, I kind of forgot about it. Oh, I still have it, and I'll definitely add it like in this video as like background footage. But yeah, it was that video. It was supposed to be like this video where I'm like reviewing the game, but instead I was actually playing it. But I was like, I kind of forgot about it. But good thing I didn't actually do it, because after playing the game even longer after that video I made, I actually have more opinions and more things about the game. You know. But yeah. Tower Fantasy. Is it a good game or not? It's mid. Or to me, I'd say it's good. It's not great, nor is it amazing, nor is it shit, or nor is it garbanzo. I think it's just good. The game is good. That's it for now. Also, I won't be uploading like as much because school is around, and I like literally barely have any time to edit and make videos. But I don't think anyone cares about that because then again, I only have 40 subscribers and I get like 10 to 30 views a video. So I don't think people actually watch throughout my entire video. I'm pretty sure they watch like up to halfway and then they just leave. But yeah, that's it. I've been stalling this ending for a while now. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you in the next video or whatever I make. Peace.